What apartment is that? What apartment is that? That's what I thought. We outside. Come outside. Y'all already know where to find me at. Don't call my phone. Don't throw nothing out the window. Throw it from the front building. Throw it from the front building. Play with me if you want to. Now niggas play with me if you want to. When I finish, I'm gonna throw your mother down some steps. Keep watching out the window. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all don't even understand how many niggas love me. Keep on playing. This is my building. I wish y'all niggas would. I wish you niggas would. Keep on. When I catch that window and that floor, I know the floors and I know the window. When I catch it, I'm not even looking up. When I catch it, your mother gonna get thrown down a flight of steps, you broke ass nigga. And every nigga in my army gonna stomp that bitch down a flight of steps. What the fuck y'all playing with? Who y'all playing with? I look like I'm running. Come outside, nigga. Don't throw it from the window. Come outside. Come outside. Y'all niggas see what y'all see what they throwing out the window? Nigga, I got an army out here. Come outside. Come outside. I look like I'm running. Come outside. What up, boy? Come outside. Come outside with the shooters. Come outside. Where you at? Don't throw no bottles out the window. Come outside. That's what I thought. Y'all think my niggas is not sitting up here watching it? These niggas throwing bottles out the window when I turn my head, but they won't come outside. Do I look like I'm running? Do I look like I'm fucking running? Do I look like I'm running? Fucking play with me. Do I look like I'm running? Do I look like I'm running? Come outside with the shooters. Keep moving for what? Is it real, son? If it's really real, son, I'm not running from nobody. Nobody. Where the shooters at? Niggas throwing bottles out the window. Come outside. I stabbed your mama to death. What? That's what I thought. I stabbed your mother to death. That's something happening in Bonx. I guarantee you my niggas will come through this shit and switch through. Don't stay in the windows. Come outside with the shooters. Don't stay in the window. Come outside with the shooters. What happened though? What up though? What up though? What up though? What up though? Don't stay in the window. Come outside with the shooters. Everybody got something to say. Until a real nigga got something to say.
because the family is the reason why the wounds are there. They never talked to me about it. We've never discussed it, even till this day. And I just assumed that, my aunt would tell my mom because they were best friends and they were sisters. And till this day, not a peep, not one word. And I grappled with that. I lived with that. And I also became very angry to the point where I just reacted, and I built up such walls that it took a whole lot for God to help me through and manage my emotions and to even trust, family members, to trust people, and very difficult thing to live with. The situation that happened with the molestation, I was able to share with her in a very indirect way because something else happened in the family with somebody else, and the trauma came up, and I responded to her and I said, well, people said this about me. They said that I was mean. I was labeled because I had to go in defense mode, because people knew what happened to me and they didn't do anything about it. And she was really quiet. I actually felt like I was silenced in many ways. I was struggling and battling with how I was feeling about life and my purpose and why am I here? Why is this happening? And I didn't really have answers to those questions. And I didn't have somebody that was talking to me at the time either to say, okay, this is what you're feeling, and being able to help me to self-regulate. And I went up to the roof and I contemplated jumping off, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that it was a thought only and it wasn't something that I actually succeeded in, because I wouldn't be able to be here today to even share my story.
What is the relevance of mental health for economic development in low and middle income countries? Why do you think we should think about mental health when we talk about poverty? Is there any connection between mental health and poverty? Well, to answer these questions, I'd like to begin by introducing you to Nandi. So Nandi lives in Khayelitsha, which, as many of you know, is a large peri-urban township not far from where we are here in Cape Town. And in many ways, Khayelitsha resembles the large and growing urban slums that mark the major centers across sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Latin America. It's characterized by high levels of poverty, unemployment, high levels of violence and crime, crumbling infrastructure with inadequate housing, education, and healthcare facilities, and inhabited by people who've often come from rural areas to the city in search of work. So we meet Nandi when she attends her first antenatal clinic appointment. She's pregnant with her first child. And when we meet her, she presents with all the classic symptoms of major depression. She has low mood, she's tearful, she's worried on a day-to-day basis about how she's going to handle having a child in her life. She's withdrawn from a lot of her normal social support systems and her normal activities. She's struggling to sleep at night, she's lost her appetite, and so on. When we probe a little bit further, we find that many of the issues underlying her experience of depression are related to poverty. She has no steady job, not a steady source of income. She has a big concern about food security going forward. She's threatened by the prospect of violence and crime on a fairly regular basis. She's worried about the leak in her shack. And she can't help but compare her own circumstances to those of people who live not far from her. In other words, she's very aware of inequality within our society.
made his speech to the Congress and the nation last week about the need to make deep cuts in government spending, most people who heard him nodded their heads in agreement. But it's the business of reporters to ask nagging questions, even in the face of near unanimity. And a nagging question that occurred to us is represented by a New York neighborhood, which has long been a reproach to the nation. But the South Bronx is trying to rise from the ashes. It is a battle to do so. And Ed Rabel spent last week in the battle zone.
It was like the moon now, nothing but minerals. Buildings had collapsed. Their wood had been consumed and their stones had crashed down. Some walls still stood, but windows and roofs were gone, and there was nothing inside but ashes and dollops of melted glass. That is Kurt Vonnegut's description of Dresden after its destruction by American bombers in February 1945. But this is the South Bronx, February 1981, destroyed by other Americans. Life here is hard. The battle to survive is desperate. The outcome by no means certain. Almost every week is a bad week for the people of the South Bronx, who are mostly black and Puerto Rican. Last week was an exception. It was worse.
He calls it Fort Apache.
Hollywood's version of the South Bronx started playing at theaters nearly everywhere. Robert Roman took it personally.
Because they made black and Puerto Rican people look like pimps, hustlers, hoes, you know. That's not what it's all about.
Fort Apache, the Bronx. The fuse has been lit.
They made us look like a cesspool down here. And this ain't no cesspool. You can look around for yourself and see that we're coming up.
And Maria Vega took it personally.
I can explain what it is, but I do feel safer in the Bronx. I don't know why. Living here in the Bronx, in this neighborhood, I feel safer than being downtown or as it was in Brooklyn.
Why?
It's something I can explain why, but I feel at home here.
Residents come here, look appalled at what they see, make promises, and leave. But Charlotte Street remains pretty much the same, burned out and desolate. And the people who live around here say they're tired of what they call all the broken promises.
All around is decay and destruction. Unemployment, illiteracy, arson, and despair have stopped a lot of people here.
South Bronx. For years, the name has been a way of saying poverty, unemployment, hellish crime, drug addiction, abandoned buildings, a national symbol for urban decay. South Bronx. For years, it has been a way of saying despair.
Scattered throughout the city. They weren't segregated particularly. It's only with the great migration of 6 to 7 million African Americans north and west escaping the South, the predominant response of the United States government and state and local governments to the Great Migration was to contain Black people in their own neighborhoods. And HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, was particularly a part of this role. But the precursors to HUD introduced and encouraged racially restrictive covenants, redlining of every major city where African Americans landed. The federal government was a sponsor of urban renewal, infamously called Negro removal by the great James Baldwin.
Urban renewal, which means moving the Negroes out. It means Negro removal. That is what it means. And the federal government is an accomplice to this fact.
That so-called urban renewal also included a federally sponsored interstate highway system, which was intentionally designed to mow through vibrant Black neighborhoods. Take Miami, for example. 2 highways, I-95 and I-395, bulldoze right through the predominantly Black and low-income Overtown neighborhood, previously called Colored Town during segregation.
The Department of Housing and Urban Development and the federal government writ large in the first 7 decades of the 20th century invested billions of dollars in racial segregation and concentrated poverty. Each time this country created a peculiar institution that subordinated Black people, slavery, Jim Crow, it created and dismantled it. They replaced it with another one. And the iconic Black ghetto, I don't use that as a pejorative, I use it as a descriptor, was a follow-on institution to slavery and Jim Crow. That's the legacy that every new administration inherits, and the Biden administration has as well.
Today, I'm directing the Department of Housing and Urban Affairs and Urban Development to redress historical racism in federal housing policies.
This executive order is just one of 4 signed by President Biden, designed to address racial equity in the United States. And while this progress is a step in the right direction, there's still a lot of harm to undo.
Segregation started coming down after the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which actually only got passed in the wake of Dr. Martin Luther King's assassination. In 1980, 8 out of 10 Black people would have had to move in order to be evenly integrated within metropolitan areas. Half of Black people who live in metropolitan areas still live in neighborhoods of high segregation. So we've had modest improvement, but segregation persists. And economic segregation has spiked since 1970.
Housing is priced well below the market rate. Originally, public housing in the United States consisted primarily of 1 or more concentrated blocks of low-rise or high-rise apartment buildings. It is provided in various settings and format. These complexes are operated by state and local housing authorities, which are authorized and funded by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. More than 1.2 million households currently live in public housing of some kind. Subsidized apartment buildings, often referred to as housing projects, have a complicated history in the United States. While the first decades of projects were built with higher construction standards and a broader range of incomes and applicants, over time public housing became the housing of last resort in many cities. Several negative stereotypes associated with public housing create difficulties in developing new units. Perceptions of public housing include some major public concerns: a lack of maintenance, expectation of crime, disapproval of housing as a handout, reduction of property values, concentration of poverty, increased crime, and physical unattractiveness. While the reality may differ from the perceptions, such perceptions are strong enough to mount a formidable opposition to public housing programs in general over the years. Several reasons for these stereotypes include the failure of Congress to provide sufficient funding, lowering the standard of occupancy, as well as government mismanagement at the local level. Public Works Administration Housing Division, 1930s. Permanent federally funded housing came into being in the United States as part of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal. Title II, Section 202 of the National Industrial Recovery Act, passed June 16, 1933, directed the Public Works Administration to develop a program for the construction, reconstruction, alteration, or repair of low-cost housing and slum clearance projects. The initial limited dividend program aimed to provide low-interest loans to public or private groups to fund the construction of low-income housing. Too few qualified applicants stepped forward, and as a result, the limited dividend program funded only 7 housing projects nationally. In the spring of 1934, the Housing Division began to undertake the direct construction of public housing, a decisive decision that would serve as precedent for the 1937 Wagner-Steagall Housing Act, which set the template for public housing in the United States at the time.
Bonx River, the home to Hassan Campbell. Born August 3rd, 1976. He was raised by a single mother along with 5 siblings. Watched his mother get beat probably every day, every week by his father. He struggled growing up, got teased by other kids around the neighborhood, struggled with his sexual identity due to what happened to him as a youngster. But that doesn't take away from where his heart lay. He's a titan from Bonx River.
You don't want no commissary. You don't know what it's like to get that Dear John letter. Ain't no glorifying that. You don't know what it's like to be sitting up in no motherfucking jail waiting for a visit. Niggas sit up there talking about, I'll be up there at 10 o'clock today. That was 3 weeks ago. You don't know nothing about that. When I was on Rikers Island, they sent me to Bellevue for a psych evaluation. I go to Bellevue, I'm seeing motherfuckers. Yo, I seen 3 people hang up in Bellevue. They was all hanging. I was like, no, send me back to jail. I didn't want to be in a crazy house. Then I seen a nigga, his bitch come on the visiting floor with another bitch. She lets him know that she's gay and she's leaving him for this female. The nigga went in the exit sign. He bust the exit sign, broke it up, and ate the light bulb. They had to cut the nigga throat. He ate a light bulb. He had glass on him and shit. No, y'all can't relate to me. You can't relate to me. Your life and my life is different. Kwame, with all due respect, your basketball coaches and Michael Jordan and all the rest of them, they never heard your cries. You never ever fought the niggas that was fighting you. Now you want to fight me over the internet where I can't face you face to face? I got a lot of tears to give. You see these eyes? This is pain. Bonx River ain't never gave me nothing but pain. You're more than welcome to come get this pain. I don't know who you are. I ain't got nothing but pain to give. You see these eyes? You see them? You see those tears? It's nothing but pain. You can have whatever you like. Pain. 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 I promised myself I would go with my mother. I hate you niggas. Pain. Pain. Give me death, nigga. Any of you niggas. Give me death. I ain't never wanted to live. Never. Never. I won't never run from none of you niggas. I ain't never want to live. Never. Ever. Motherfucker. Ever. I dare you niggas. I dare you. I ain't never want to live. Ever. 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 I'll shoot you dead in your face. So you know the difference between me and y'all niggas? I'll tell you the difference. As adults, we gotta handle our differences and our pains. I'm 40 plus years old, and I'm still dealing with my pain. So just imagine those teenagers that's being neglected, ain't getting no hugs, ain't getting no love, and they being led astray by the industry, by their parents, by the gangs, by the drug dealers. Shit is real on the battlefield. If we ain't gonna take care of us, then who the fuck gonna take care of us? I'm alright. I'm caught up in my feelings a little bit, but I'm alright. But somewhere
There's a little kid that ain't got a parent, ain't getting a hug. Stepdaddy ain't giving no love. And mama ain't giving no fucks. Playtime is over. If we don't love each other, who the fuck gonna love us? At what point do we come to terms and we come together and we save each other? Like I said, El Chapo, they broke him out. El Chapo's son, they broke him out. Pablo Escobar, they broke him out. The Griseldas, them. Don't nobody give a fuck about the black man. Every time I go outside, I gotta fight. Then when I come home, I gotta fight. The black man gotta fight everybody. His wife, cause that bitch angry. The kids, cause they was programmed to be angry by him and her. Like, how you win? How Lauryn Hill said, how you gonna win when you ain't right within? We gotta fight everybody. The black man don't get a hug. And the funny part about social media, everybody created the LOL for the black man. They created the LOL for the black man. I'm tired. I can't even tell if I'm coming or I'm going. I just know that I saved a lot of y'all niggas' lives. Because you still breathing. Don't push me. It ain't nothing for me to pop the top. Don't push me.
They speaking out against a pedophile. I mean, what's the problem? The brother's supposed to be down with the black spades, right? But moving right along again to the sister. See, here's the thing. She brings up George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman is a white boy that killed one black kid. Bam Bada is a serial pedophile. The damage that he did, and still to this day, cannot be undone. I mean, I'm sitting back and I got people from the UK talking about the brothers out there that committed suicide, that Bam molested, and it's more than one, it's actually two, that committed suicide because they couldn't take what this man did. Here's the reality of it. The jig, like the brother Pint said, the jig is up. All that coming forth now, Bam got the Zulu Nation warring with each other. While he hiding in the closet, all he's waiting for is for all of this shit to calm down, to cool down, so he could come back out of the closet, stick his chest out with a couple of celebrities, and get back to the same nasty-ass life he was living. The reality of it is, it's not my place to call for anybody's death. But most people that speaks on a pedophile, if anybody else does it, your answer to it is death. So what is the excuse for Bam? When he's a serial pedophile, we in Bronx River Projects right now. You got some of these dudes out here, they mad because I came out. And if they keep on running their mouth, it ain't gonna just be about the little boys that own Bam Touch. It's gonna be me talking about y'all grown ass men that was getting whopped off by that nigga.
At 9:45 p.m. on September 16th, police say that two groups of men faced off on East 169th Street and opened fire. Although multiple rounds were exchanged, there were no reports of any injuries. Police are hoping this video will help
know how lucky they were. It was just before 8 p.m. Two groups of young men are standing outside the neighborhood bodega. Suddenly, one of them opens fire and it's pandemonium. 5 will be hit with gunshots to the chest and back, in the arms and legs. Amazingly, no bystanders were wounded, but it was only one of several shootings last night. In just
several rounds from the backseat of a Toyota sedan towards a person walking on the street. That person then returned fire. Both took off from the scene. Fortunately, no one was hit by the bullets. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers, 800-577-TIPS.
Bonx. Surveillance video shows them draw their weapons and fire at a man wearing a red jacket. This happened back on October 18th at the intersection of Hoe Avenue and Westchester Avenue. The victim was taken to Lincoln Hospital and treated for a gunshot wound to his knee. No word yet on what led up to that shooting.
The brutal robbery of 2 teenagers in the Bronx. Investigators say 2 16-year-old boys were thrown down a flight of stairs before being beaten, slashed, and robbed of cell phones and cash. It happened inside a building on East 171st Street near College Avenue in the Claremont section. Both boys were treated at Montefiore Medical Center and are expected to be okay.
When one of them started firing a handgun at a moving vehicle, a parked car was damaged by bullets. A stray bullet hit the window of a second-floor apartment, but no one was hurt.
Say a man wearing a jacket with an FDNY logo shot another man in the back of the head. The smoke shop is near the corner of 125th and Malcolm X Boulevard. Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu is there for us this morning. Janice, good morning.
Good morning. Take a look at this. You can see about 9 people inside the smoke shop on West 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. A man wearing a dark colored jacket with an FDNY logo is seen talking to the victim near the counter. That man is wearing a tan or yellow jacket. The victim turns around and walks away, and that's when the man in the dark jacket shoots him. Now we've
And then they wonder why we crazy. I blame my mother for turning my brother into a black baby.
Everybody got something to say. Until a real nigga got something to say.